So hello everybody, and let's get started for the benefit of everybody who's on time. And slowly the people who are still finishing their coffee will trickle in. So welcome everybody to this panel discussion on scaling up private sector investment in education and training. I'm Anirudh Patil, the unit head for our private sector investments in health and education across Asia. Today we have a very experienced and diverse panel here. We have representatives from private K-12, private tertiary and private vocational education companies, as well as representatives from government and private equity. So that will hopefully give us a very well-rounded discussion, and from their experience, we hope to gain some very valuable practical insights into how to drive growth and innovation in education. I will quickly introduce the panel very briefly. You have their detailed background in the info pack, and then I'll be proceeding to ask the questions. We do have 5 panelists here, so we will be quite judicious with our time, and I encourage the panel members to spend around 4 minutes per question so that we have enough time for audience questions later. So first we have Nandita Ganpati, who is the partner and head of investor relations at Kaizen Private Equity Fund. Kaizen is a dedicated education-focused private equity fund in Southeast Asia and South Asia, and ADB is an investor in Kaizen, so we know them quite well. Then we have Mr. Min. He is the vice president and head of the K-12 segment at Equest Education in Vietnam. After that, we have Dr. Jirapon from Thailand, Bangkok University. She's the assistant to the president for academic affairs in Bangkok University. She has been involved with the university for a long time and has taken a number of previous positions, such as the Dean of School of Humanity and Tourism Management. Then we have Dr. Hu. Dr. Hu is the VP for operations at China Education Group, which is one of the largest vocational training private education companies in PRC. Welcome, Dr. Hu. And then we have Ms. Bui. Ms. Bui is from the government of Vietnam, specifically from the Ministry of Science and Technology. And she is the Innovation, Communication and International Cooperation Manager at NATEC. NATEC is the National Agency for Technology, Entrepreneurship and Commercialization Development. So we hope to gain some very valuable insights from our very diverse and experienced panel. So let me start off today's discussion with a question for Nandita. Because Nandita represents, sort of the private equity or the investor side of things. Now, you have raised capital from a lot of institutional investors globally. And, what we would like to understand is what has been the appetite for education investments from institutional investors? Do you see an increased trend of, specifically investing in education due to growing focus on ESG or impact investments? We'd love to hear your insights on that.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Good morning, everyone. So absolutely, I think education has been, in some sense, attracting a lot of attention for capital. But before we kind of delve into the different dimensions of education attracting capital, I think the one theme that has stayed very strong, that has worked very well for education, is the fact that it has been at the forefront of innovation. Earlier, even pre-pandemic, and then through the pandemic accelerated for various reasons, and post that to actually deal with some of the changing trends in terms of future workforce, future trends in learning, etc. There's been a whole lot of innovation that's been happening in this space, which I think is very important when it comes to attracting private capital. But coming to the different dimensions and categories under which we see capital flowing through the sector, one really is the stage of investments. So we've seen, of course, a lot of early stage operators with less proven in terms of business model, product market fit, yet to be established. So those companies have certainly sort of faced a lot of headwinds in terms of raising capital, simply because of challenges around scale, challenges around proving the model itself. Having said that, from the non-institutional investors, if these companies are able to sail through with, let's say, seed funding, VC, angel capital, and they're able to kind of get to the next stage of proving their business model, I think we've seen a lot of interest from mainstream investors. This is for companies that are proven in terms of the market that they're catering to, what is the product, what is the gap that they're actually seeking to address in the market, how are they actually dealing with unit economics, how are they able to sort of prove profitability. So for those kind of companies, I think there still continues to be strong interest from mainstream players. The second dimension is really the stage. Beyond the core education system, which today is pre-K, K-12, or higher tertiary education, we've also seen a lot of innovation in the space that's parallel or ancillary to that. And what I mean by that is really building niche skills around content like coding, data analytics, language learning, upskilling, corporate training. So these are, again, spaces within the education ecosystem overall, even education financing for education end users. So these business models and these companies have also evolved to play a very important role in the whole future of work, future of learning space. We really like that, and that's been, again, a very key trend in terms of being able to attract private investment. The third important point that you made also is in terms of ESG impact considerations. So what we really like about education is the fact that it is in many ways at the epicenter of several other sustainability development goals, whether it's gender, whether it's poverty, whether it's employment, job creation. All of these are linked in some fashion or the other to building strong education systems, building strong grounding in the way your education framework is actually shaped. So I think that has also led to a lot of sort of interest, and an additional sort of dimension to that, and what we see more and more increasing today in the world of education investing is the focus on outcomes. It's not just about outputs anymore, and what I mean by that is an output is where you say that, yes, my product or my course has, there have been 5,000 students who enrolled from it. That's an output. But what really has been the outcome of that? I think that is what investors are now keen to see more and more of. And it actually works beautifully, because we've seen that where you can create the kind of outcome in terms of what is that product or what is that intervention actually doing to the life of the student, those are actually great ways of also sort of making sure that your product is actually reaching its final end goal of making the difference to the life of the student. So outcomes focus is, I think, a very, very significant and important trend that we are seeing when it comes to education investing. And we've kind of really also adapted as a fund to making sure that we're able to measure learning outcomes very tangibly for our portfolio companies too.
Thank you, Nandita. I mean, it's quite interesting and refreshing to learn about the focus on outcomes, even from private investors. And it's good to see that education, by just being the driver of innovation itself, is attracting a lot of interest. So let me go to the next question. This is for you, Dr. Hu. And just a quick side for the organizers, we can't see the timer here. So if you could fix that. But let's go to Dr. Hu. Dr. Hu, China Education Group has grown quite impressively in the last 5-6 years, from 75,000 students in 2017 to over 300,000 students today. I mean, that's quite a sharp growth. And during this time, you have raised capital through different ways. You listed on the stock exchange, you borrowed from multilaterals, you issued dim sum bonds with guarantees from the Credit Guarantee and Investment Facility. So what we would like to know, what were some of the lessons that you learned while raising these funds, what kind of financial innovation did you encounter in this process? Thank you.
Thank you for your question and for your attention and support to CEG. In the past few years, the scale and the quality of CET have significantly improved, which depend on their health, financial development. In terms of practice or lessons, we arrange fundraising reasonably based on the development needs of the CEG and actively communicate with investor, creditor, and the government department. In terms of financial innovation, we have used various tools such as IPO, right issue, convertible bonds, international commercial laws, etc. We have also innovatively added guarantee provided by CGIF and innovated equity and debt financing cooperation with IFC. In terms of future plans, CG is willing to cooperate with multilateral institutions such as ADB and other institutions. We will strictly assume environment, social, and green development responsibility in accordance with ADB and other institution requirements, and hope to strengthen cooperation with ADB and other institutions in professional setting, course, and other projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hu. I mean, it's quite, you are quite rare in the education space with all your financial innovation. What we have seen is that many times private education companies are a little behind other sectors when it comes to raising capital through innovative means. And so we at ADB are also working to address that. But let me come to you, Mr. Min. And similar to CEG, eQuest in Vietnam has also made great progress and growth in the last few years in your K-12 segment. And you are currently grown from like 2,000 students to now 16,000 students. And so my question to you is specifically on what challenges you encountered operationally while growing the business so fast. Particularly, how did you maintain the quality of your education offering while at the same time scaling up so quickly?
So thank you. Before we invest in the K-12 business, we are the language centers, prep centers, and we have the university and colleges. So we invest in K-12 in 2018. So up to now, it's about 5 years. And right now, K-12 become the largest business for eQuest. With 18,000 students from the north to the south Vietnam. And we grow quite fast based on M&As. And the most challenge from M&A is two things. One, to keep the qualities, we apply the accreditation. We working with the Cognia, one of the largest accreditation body in United States, to work together very closely to accredit each school to keep the qualities of the school is very important. So the second difficult is the cultures, the organization cultures. Because before they working with eQuest, they are mostly the family business, and so they not really working like a big organization, and they don't have the process or they manage the business is in the whole family. So we have to apply for the finance system, we apply for the quality control system, we apply for the safety system, and so on. So after that, they found that we are together grows For example, one school we invest, they have about 1,000 students, and right now they have 8,000 students after 5 years. From one school, now the brand have 5 schools after we invest 2. So I think the growth is a win-win situation, and we're all happy with us. And yeah, the most important thing is the control of qualities by accreditation, and the second, control the ego, control the very big ego, because school is the business between human and human. So everyone they have the egos, and so we have to manage this, and also prove that if we're working together, everything should be much better than we work alone. Yeah.
Thank you, Min. I mean, that's quite some insightful observations that you've made, especially on accreditation and the point about egos. I mean, especially, we find that sometimes initial founders are very attached to their business, which sometimes prevents sort of scaling up or innovation. But let me come to you, Dr. Jirapon from Bangkok University. Bangkok University is one of the oldest private universities in Thailand, but at the same time, your offering, your program offerings that you have and the courses you offer are really up to date with the market needs. All your digital media, cinematic arts, and communication focus. And even when I visited your campus a month ago, I was quite impressed by the quality of equipment. I mean, some of the equipment that you have in these projects is all cutting art. I thought I was in like a TV studio, actually. So when you scale up your project offering, how do you ensure that your programs are in line with demands of the industry? How do you be so responsive to market needs?
Okay, thank you, Ani. I think that one of the key successes of Bangkok University is collaboration. Like what Ms. Nantita just mentioned, that learning outcomes are very important. All of the industry, they are looking for the learning outcomes from our students. So who knows their learning outcomes, which skill, which core knowledge would be the best for the industry, if it is not the industry itself. So what Bangkok University is doing to make sure that all of the programs are in line with the industry trends and the market demand is that we collaborate with a lot of industries. We actually have a strong connection with partners, different partners, including corporate partners and university partners globally, and also in Thailand as well. So we invited, well, actually, it's the policy of Bangkok University that all programs need to have the industry experts as the program advisors. And all of these program advisors from the industry will come and join the program since the beginning, since day one. What we are doing right now is that we invited them to co-design the curriculum, the programs, so that it would be in line with their needs. When the industry experts come and the corporate partners come and help us design the program, they will give us the requirements that they need, like what kind of skills that they need in our students, what kind of market demand that they need, including the trend. The School of Communication Arts at Bangkok University, as well as the School of Digital Media and Cinematic Arts, we have high technology, and the technology is changing every day. It is very difficult to design, the curriculum. We do not design the program just for today or tomorrow, but we have to be sure that this program and the technology and the core knowledge and the skills, everything in the program is still valid in the next 4 or 5 years after the students graduate. So when we invite them to co-design the program since the first day, along the way during the 4 or 5 years at school, those industry experts and the corporate partners and also university partners will come and help us design the learning activities as well. Bangkok University is practical university, so we provide a lot of project-based learning. When the industry experts come, they give opportunity for our students to actually work with them, not just come and give the case studies and study in the classroom. No, the studio that you saw, the students will practice on behalf of the university. We invest that. all of the technologies, facilities according to the demand from recommendation from the industry. And then we train them. Industry comes to the university and train them as well. And along the way in the class, they play such an important role. Some of the industry experts become our part-time instructors, and some of them become our coach, mentors for our students. And if any student is very outstanding, they hire them even before they graduate. Within year 3 or year 4, we also have an internship program, and those industry experts will come and pick up, recruit our students to be their interns. And at the same time, our students will have an opportunity to see, different companies will come and recruit them to be their intern. And eventually, by the end of the program, of course, we expect the job placement. So that would be the whole process of running the curriculum to make sure that all the skills needed for future demand is in place. And to make sure that we teach them, the up-to-date skills, because we have the industry trend keep coming to the school. Apart from those core skills, core knowledge, hard skills, at Bangkok University, we never ignore soft skills. We prefer having, like I said, it's practical university, so we prefer that the students will, do something in hand at the real place. So we have a lot of projects. Earlier this year, for example, we ran a mini hackathon with Berkeley Skydeck Fund from the US. So the students will have an opportunity to meet with people, students from different fields, from different fields. So they will learn not only in that field, but they'll learn, broaden up their knowledge as well to make sure that in the future, if they have to survive in the world, the changing world, they can survive. No matter how much technology is changing, if they have those soft skills, they are, curious, they are creative, they are street smart, they know how to collaborate, and they have passion that will make them survive in the real world. We don't have to worry about them. And yeah, that's the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. That's quite interesting. The industry collaboration for designing curriculum so that, this is not just for today, but for future, as well as, not just curriculum, but focus on soft skills. That's quite important. So we've heard from the private companies, and, I now look forward to hearing from the government. We have Ms. Bui from Vietnam, and, NATEC is promoting a lot of R&D and innovation, also, startups in Vietnam. How actively are private universities in Vietnam involved in R&D and innovation? And what's the support that the government is giving?
Okay, thank you so much for your interesting question. So, interesting thing is today on the panelists, we have two representatives from Vietnam, and I'm from government and Mr. Minh from the public sector. So some fewer meeting nowadays I'm joining. We always, government always go with the private sectors. Continue with some key messages from the three speakers here. So one, I listened about how we can increase the validation from mix between the innovation and education. Mr. Minh just shares about the challenges between the education and the big corporation. And you also mentioned about the technology change every day. So that's why in Vietnam nowadays we have an open innovation model. So we linkage between the institution, business, and government. We open the education and invite the business and big corporation inside and try for the education, because the demand always change every day. So that's why we have to want to match with the demand. We have to go with the business. And also from the institution, they also have a pain point about spin up, how they can push all the research and R&D for the market. So that is the packaging and bring from the market, from the solution product for the market. Institution and especially public university and private sectors have to go with the government. And Vietnam now, we are trying to promote the cultures. And the culture, we want to have a lot of case study. And we start with the private sectors. Because the private sectors, they can move quickly and adapt quickly. And they have their resources, the finance to support by themselves. And from the government, we can put the strategy inside. And that is from the university. So from the big corporation and other business in Vietnam, now we are trying, they are trying to set up a lot of R&D center inside of the business. And so that is a very important, if the R&D center from the private sector can collaborate together with the R&D centers in the big corporation. And that is the way all the R&D center big corporation, they can save many costs for R&D, and they can attract a lot of researchers and innovators from the university R&D centers also, and can deal with the challenges from the market and big corporation. And the last message, I think that from the government role, we are not just the decision maker by policy. We have to be the innovator, the connector, the influencer. And how the government can do the great job is to make the game or make in the middle road, in the middle bridge, and can connect all the component and sector. So we have to create the cultures. And the culture, that means we have to change the mindset. Because we mentioned a lot about the collaboration between many components in the ecosystem. But the change the mindset have to from the bottom up and from the top down. So from the beginning of this year, the NATEC worked with many leaders from university and provinces in Vietnam to change the mindset first. And then the action will be later.
Thank you, Ms. Bui. I mean, it's quite refreshing to see such, clear support and clear identification of roles of the government versus private. I mean, you said, the private companies can bring the innovation and the capital, and it's your role as government to foster the collaboration, to set the strategy, and so on. I mean, I think that's also why we see a lot of very interesting private companies in Vietnam. I mean, eQuest, of course, is one of them, but we see a lot of those. So, you're certainly doing quite a bit to get those scale up of private education in Vietnam. So on a related matter, let me go back to you, Nandita. I mean, from Kaizen's perspective, I mean, you invest in multiple countries in South Asia and Southeast Asia. Now, are there any particular subsectors, regions, or areas where you see strong government support or regulatory support to encourage private investment in education?
Yeah, so I'll talk from point of view of emerging markets. I think historically, public education in many emerging markets that we've seen have not been able to really deliver the kind of quality education that one would like. And this is for various reasons. There are conflicting priorities. There are, government expenditure on education that has not kept in line with what is desired from a population standpoint. But having said that, I think private education today in most markets, it works very complementary with the government in most areas. And that's also been because of the recognition that private education has been able to deliver, and keep going back to the point on outcomes and learning quality. They have been able to deliver those over now many decades. So I think that's been a very strong reason for government and private sector to connect on this and be able to work together smoothly. The other point again is that learning today is lifelong, and education encompasses everything, right? So there is upskilling, there is a need for better job creation, there is need for constantly being able to get to better employment levels, income levels, etc., particularly for the more middle and low income segments. And that's again been an area where private sector has delivered very strongly. So I think it's been a great collaboration on most fronts, and we've seen support coming in from all quarters when it comes to private education in most markets. And lastly, I think there's also a role that innovative finance can play in bringing together public and private sector through various modes. We've seen social investment bonds, development impact bonds, which can really bring in the outcome focus, have financing towards stronger outcomes, and have risk capital come in as well, where government can again play a role. We've not seen as much of that happen in many markets, but we do believe that there is a lot in the future that holds for such innovative finance to come in education. So we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, thank you, Nandita. I mean, you made a good point about the complementarity that private education provides to government initiatives, and that's something that many governments are recognizing. Vietnam being a good case, and we look forward to more such across the region. Also, the lifelong learning aspect is almost exclusively handled by private companies. And therefore, there is a big role of government to encourage such lifelong learning opportunities. So let me go back to you, Dr. Hu. So now, focusing on vocational education, because CG is quite known for vocational education. What's so special about your vocational pedagogy, and how do corporate partnerships help you scale that up in China?
Actually, vocational education of CEG has 8 unique characteristics. I would like to summarize it in 2 keywords. One keyword is rapid development, mainly due to rapid increase in the number of schools from 3 vocational schools to now 12 vocational schools. Number of students and investment in education and government support and enrollment plan and teaching achievement. Another keyword is high quality, which reflected in 5 aspects: high quality teaching achievement, high quality specialty characteristics, high quality digital transformation, high quality student employment, high quality integration between industry and education. We believe that we can start from follow 5 aspects to expand vocational education. Firstly, we plan to increase the number of cooperation enterprises from now 3,000 to 4,000. Secondly, we adopt various methods such as industry lab, industry college, and training bases. Thirdly, we will strengthen the integration of industry, academic, teaching, and research to achieve a close connection among the industry trend, teaching trend, personal trend, and education trend. Fourth, we will promote the deep matching between characteristic teaching and profession standard. Finally, we will comprehensively integrate campus teaching, internship, and students' employment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hu. I mean, I'm amazed by the number of partnerships that you have with the government, with the industry, like 3,000 plus. And also the number of those partnerships are officially recognized by the government as an industry education collaboration. So that's quite important for scaling up. Let me come back to you, Mr. Min. So previously you talked about how eQuest on the operational side, what kind of innovations you're doing and what you look at. But on the financial side, I mean, you're a majority private equity owned company. And for the next phase of your growth, what kind of innovation you're looking for, raising more capital? Are you looking at additional, private equity investments? Are you going to the public markets? Or what kind of financial, innovations you're looking at?
Thank you. for the finance growth, because at this phase we really need more investment, because for example, invest for K-12 school is huge invest at the beginning, and we collect the coins before after, and so for example, to open one school, we have to invest about 15 million US dollar for a size of the 1,500 student or 2,000 student. And at the beginning, I think we may use the private equity for increasing the investment, and maybe after that we win IPO for the public market. And why we invest very strong at the moment, because of the window time. We saw the window time for the education in Vietnam at the moment. After COVID, after the war in Ukraine, and so the people saw that education is the best investment for the futures. And also the law in Vietnam, it changed quite fast. It's more open for private sectors, and also open for the education. So that means, for example, before 2018, we have only single textbook for every student for whole countries. But at the moment, it's open. It's not necessary. If you choose, you have 4 textbook set to choose. And also, if you don't like the textbook, you can provide them yourself for the education. It's open huge opportunity and the challenge also to the school. But for it's very good for the private, because of the private one is more innovative and they change faster for the markets. And at the moment, the private school in Vietnam grows very rapidly, and so it's the right time for invest. So we decide to focus on invest in K-12 in Vietnam at the moment, and to rate the demand of the markets, because the market now is very open. And the market is not only for the 2 big cities like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, but also open for others, the second tier cities also in Vietnam. And it's the time for invest to education in Vietnam. And so but for eQuest itself, we focus on the good investors who can support also for us for long-term development, and also help us to connect with the others educators in the world, and also for other opportunity to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Min. And ADB certainly looks forward to working with you and help you in that path. So I'll come back to you, Dr. Jirapon. I mean, you outlined very nicely about what Bangkok University was doing in terms of offering programs designed for the future. When I again visited your campus, I noticed that in addition to the curriculum and the program itself, there was a lot of support investments that you're making, in your campus and so on. So, I also understand that you are planning some supporting infrastructure like student housing and so on. Could you talk a little bit about this, as to how this investments in even supporting infrastructure helps, and why it is important in scaling up, your operations?
Okay, thank you, Ani. At Bangkok University, not only the academic strength that we focus on, we also care very much about the students' quality of life. Even though the name is Bangkok University, but our campus is not situated right at the city center of Bangkok. It's about 45 minutes away by car. So we have a lot of students from all over the country, including international students as well. So many parents are worried about their safety on campus when they have to commute, especially, you know, the traffic at Bangkok is probably similar to here in Manila, you know that very well. So students will have to spend a lot of time commuting back and forth between campus and at home. So we have a plan to invest. A modern student residence would be a solution for the students so that we can be sure that the student will come to the campus and stay at a safer place, you know, and that residence is not only designed for a living, but it is a shared collaborative space for the students as well. You visited our campus already. You see that, you know, Bangkok University is creative university. Once our past president, Mr. Pet Osathanukrah, used to say that creativity usually comes from silence, or creativity usually comes from empty space. So we're trying to, you know, every single square meter at Bangkok University has been designed for creativity. So you will see that we spend a lot of money. We invested a lot on the student lounge, on the sharing space, co-working spaces on the campus, including the future students' housings that we are going to have. Apart from those quality of life that we would like the students to have on campus at least, we do care very much about a culture of sustainability. So we're trying to make use of renewable resources, for example, solar. We are trying to invest that a lot in smart classroom systems that can optimize the reduction of energy usage. So we would try to instill a culture of sustainability to our students. In order to make sure that the student will go to corporate world with this mindset, we have to be, you know, sustainable first. So everything that we have a numerous investment plan right now, and you will see that in a very, very near future. If you visit our campus again, you will see a totally different, you know, atmosphere, and everything new would come. And out of this investment, we would love to, you know, upgrade the quality of life of the students. And so we would like to give an opportunity to every single student to be able to access to a high quality of education. Even though we are private, but there are many students who are on scholarship, funded by either funded by the government or funded by Bangkok University itself. We offer a lot of scholarship for the students. So we would love to give all of this opportunity a better quality of life, and also a better high quality of education to every student, so then they can come and stay on campus safely, happier, and also you know, that would in return they will have an effect on their academic learning as well.
Thank you for that, Dr. Jirapon. I mean, it's always important to have a holistic perspective. It's not, I mean, the students might come to just learn, but, you know, there's so many other things that impact that learning, whether it's, as you said, commuting. I mean, we've got in India a very successful meal program for schools. All those supporting investments are also quite important for the main product, which is the education. So again, now let me come back to you, Ms. Bui. I mean, from the government's perspective, you know, can you give us some idea about what kind of regulatory reforms are you considering to encourage, you know, more innovation and R&D at private universities going forward?
Yeah. Just a funny question. So, who in the room today, so have you ever come to Vietnam in 3 recent years? Can raise your hands. Oh, so I think that after the panel discussion today, I hope that I welcome you to Vietnam. And in Vietnam, actually nowadays you can, when you come to Vietnam, you can see the culture of innovation and startup is up very high levels, and in this whole the pictures, the touch point in the picture, that is a talent. And nowadays, in 2 years nowadays, from both the Vietnamese and public and private sector, we are invest more for the talent and for the training for the talent. And because that is a touch point from other components, one of the strong point of Vietnam is the population. We have the more than population, half of them are young generation, and how we can create the training and that kinds of create the good enough training for students. That is also our challenges. And the talent, that is not the demand, not only from university. University can provide the talent for the many big corporations, even the crisis of many tech company, but the demand about the quality candidate is still very high in Vietnam. And from the government side, we have a lot of supportive about policies and about the program, national program for the university and for the startup. And we also have a 844 program, and now we have just a new issue, that 188 decision. And this is, we want to increase the innovation space in many provinces in Vietnam. We also have a decrease 1665 to invest a lot of the finance and support from the government for the student in many university. And now the Prime Minister also issued the sharing economic project, because we want to increase the competitiveness from the private sectors. But from that is from the policy, but policy always come later after the government can see the result. So that's why in Vietnam we are trying to promote kind of case study from the pilot from private sectors. And the case study, that is, for example, we want to bring the research from university for the commercialization. So from NATEC side, we try to pilot first with the some private sector. And for example, we are collaborate between the university and province, and we bring the research for the packaging and for solution and apply in other provinces. That is and we want to prove for the government can see the result and the policy could come up. And that is from Vietnam side. And on the sector we are focusing now is about sustainable development and green growth. And all the solution, all the case study, and even the training, we are also forward to the sustainable development goals, and to deal and use the technology and innovation to deal with the challenges from the society and environment. And we are very encouraged the R&D and research from university and talent to working for the green growth theme. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Bui. So that's been quite insightful. We have about 10 minutes left, and I can see here online that there's been a flurry of questions. So I think I'll take about 2 questions from, I'm grouping them together, and I'll take 2 from here. And there's obviously going to be more opportunity for you to interact with the panel members over coffee. So there seem to be a lot of questions actually addressed to ADB. So I'll take one of that, and then we'll have one more for you here as the panel. So if I summarize the questions to ADB, it says broadly, like, how can ADB encourage and incentivize private corporations to invest in education? So ADB is doing a number of things to support this, but I must state upfront that ADB takes a very holistic approach. We engage with all the stakeholders, and we engage at different levels: upstream, midstream, and downstream. And what do I mean by all that? Upstream is we engage with governments, such as Vietnam, India, so forth, where we work with them on regulatory reform and supporting private education conditions in the country. Midstream, we can work on a specific public-private partnership. We can advise governments as well as private sector to structure and develop a specific PPP project. And then downstream, which is my team, where we can directly provide financing to those private companies, such as, we have CG, Quest, as well as BU, to scale up their investments. So that is a very short answer, but that's, we work across all the areas. So let me go to the next question, which is coming up, and this could be. I'll actually ask you will ask Mr. Min and Nandita to respond. The question is, is there any particular subsector where that should be the private investment focus? Should sort of private investment go more in K-12 or higher or tertiary? Now, specifically you too, because you invest in all the areas. So if I can go to you, Mr. Min, first, as to is it more attractive or to do K-12 versus tertiary, or?
Yeah, I think every time we have special priorities for investment. EdTech, K-12, and university colleges business is also very, very good investment. But K-12 and universities and colleges is more safer. And EdTech is more risky. But more risky is more profits if you win. And to compare with the K-12 and university colleges in Vietnam at the moment, I think K-12 now is better, because the university the window is a little bit over for about 5 years ago. At that time, invest for a university is very good opportunities and grow very fast, but right now it's a little bit slower. And then now the phase for K-12. And also the EdTech is also grow very fast at the moment in Vietnam. And so you can choose EdTech or K-12 at the moment. But university and college is still have the opportunity if you have a good ideas, let's say, because now they're quite stable, but they still very open for a newcomer who can provide the more advantage. For example, BUV, the British University in Vietnam, for the past about 10 years, it's grown very fast and become more and more advantage at the market. And others institution, higher education institutions also have the good move for the past 5-10 years ago. Yeah, so I live.
So, well, the short answer is that it's very sort of country specific, and where each of these countries are in terms of demographic, in terms of how each of these sub-segments have advanced, what are, let's say, enrollment levels, where does increased focus need to come. So there is no single answer of saying that a particular sector is more attractive than the other. We've seen pre-K, for instance, early childhood being a very investable sector, very important from the point of view of just developing the child into, while he or she gets into mainstream. As I said, we've seen a lot of opportunities along the K-12 and higher education side as well, and the ancillary. It also depends on the product and the financing product you're looking to deploy. For instance, in K-12, debt can be a very powerful capital tool, because as schools expand, it's more like financing a certain project. There are cash flows from the underlying school that can go to actually repay debt without the need to dilute from a shareholder's, from a promoter's standpoint. So there is, it really depends on the market we're in, the regulatory framework, the demographic, and various other factors.
So thank you for that. There's a lot of questions here, but you will get an opportunity to interact with the panelists over coffee outside. So I would like to thank the panel members for a very insightful discussion. With Mr. Min, Dr. Hu, and Dr. Jirapon, your observations on both operational and financial innovations that you're doing in your schools and universities was quite a learning for me. And the importance of not just going on the core curriculum, but also on the soft skills as well as the supporting infrastructure. That was quite interesting. Nandita, the investor perspective is quite encouraging. Investors focusing on outcomes, and that's hopefully drives more sustainable investment in private education. And also you work across all the areas, and you mentioned about the attractiveness of different segments, under what conditions, and so on. Innovation in education is actually driving the investment. I mean, that was quite interesting. And lastly, Dr. Ms. Bui, we are very supportive of your efforts to promote private collaboration in Vietnam and encourage R&D and innovation, and we look to continue our engagement with you. So please join me in giving a big hand of applause to our panelists for this very insightful discussion. Thank you. And I think we have a coffee break now between the next session.